Morning, guys. I thought I'd take you guys out to the patio jewel garden today. It's kind of in the middle of some seasons. We just got done with daffodils blooming. So while their blooms are gone, their stalks are still up. We have alliums that some are just blooming, some are starting to end their show. But overall, the perennials are starting to come in. And so while they start to put on some size and growth, we've got a few extra special blooms and surprises. I thought I'd show you guys that today because in about 2 to 3 weeks, this garden is going to look drastically different. So grab your coffee and let's take a walk. All right, let's get started. This is the patio jewel garden because it's right off the patio. So let's take a look and see what we've got going on this time of year. So as we get a little closer, we're first going to start out with hydrangea. And so I have two of them here. I will get you the names on the next video. But I've paired them with some penstemon, which has been cut back once already. But as you can see here, she's getting ready to flush a second time. And this penstemon is called Bejeweled Rose Rhinestone by Proven Winners. And it is a perennial here in Zone 5. As we continue through the garden, I've worked to create some structure, add in some evergreen elements, and I have a lot of different height. Now, right now, everything's just waking up, so I have a lot of native cone flowers. You can see where he's really getting excited already, just starting to pull those. And I have a variety of colors, from obviously the native pale pinks and purples to a few perennials that aren't native with whites and magentas, so it should be a really good show. But they are very happy here, and as you can see, are starting to shoot up some blooms here. Now, mixed in are some other additional cone flowers that I grew from seed. So each year I try to grow more and more natives and continue to fill in the spots, so at one point weeding becomes less of a chore. But in some of the bare spots, I've added in some annuals. So here, this is, and I'm gonna butcher these names, guys, but Orchid Hoopla Vivid Hoopla Orchid. One of my favorite petunias. Again, this whole area is really gonna fill out and become a carpet of color. Everyone say hi to Rusty Joseph. And as you can see here, we're just starting to end the show of the alliums. And so I've got both white and purple. And again, as I learn and become a better gardener, I will share some of these names with you as we continue to do tours. But really exciting to see this transformation. These guys come up. This is planted them in the fall. I do plan on planting more. I absolutely enjoyed their blooms. They're absolutely stunning. And they add great texture and height to the garden during this time of transition. And as we kind of go over here, I started an experiment. I was able to harvest some lupin seeds from some folks up in Michigan, and I'm super, super excited to see that they've taken really nicely. So we're just gonna see, hopefully they'll like it in this area and spread. I'm a huge fan of lupin. I wanna make sure that I'm choosing the native brands as well here to see if they'll self-establish, but really excited to see that they've taken well. And then under here, I've added in some Brunnera. I've had mixed results with Brunnera. I absolutely love it, and I end up losing it every year. So I tried this area here under this pine right next to the channel, and I'm really hoping that this is a spot that becomes successful. I think it's really important to talk about that, right? Because, people might come over to the garden and say, oh my goodness, this is so amazing. How do you know how to do all this? And how did you know to put these plants together? And the answer is, well, I failed at 5 others and this one stuck. And then I learned why this likes an area versus another. So I think that's important to remember when you're gardening, that you don't have to know everything. You can experiment. You can even play against the rules if you want. I think gardening should be fun expression of your artistic style, your favorite colors, and of course make sure that your cat is heavily involved, because he'll sure love the garden as well. All right, so as you can see here, I have a couple of what are called hairline alliums or hair-like alliums. So these little tiny ones, will start to see little flowers pop up. I'm just excited to see the naturalization of this particular part of the garden. So we're gonna come back over to the other area here. This garden kind of makes a, I don't know, not really a crescent shape, but just following the natural landscape of the yard. I wanted to create this kind of intimate room off the patio that always gave a view but never obstructed the beautiful wilderness that we have across the creek here. And so as we move over, you can still see that I have my daffodil leaves still up, and I think it's really important. A lot of people try to clean up too quick, but those daffodils and those tulips, they need their leaves to charge their bulbs in the winter. So leave them there, think of them as texture, and then plant around that texture, knowing that you have those broad leaves. Introduce something like here, this salvia, which actually is called fuchsia. Oh my goodness, Boomin fuchsia, and it is an annual here, but I absolutely love this plant. Will get 2 to 3 feet tall, and you'll see that I'm actually using this series of salvia many places in my gardens. But I experiment with annuals for a number of reasons. One, I want to see what color palettes I really enjoy, and two, I'm trying to understand what leaf structure and species work well. And so if I find an annual I really like, I'll then go and try to find a perennial or a native that's similar to it, both in growth structure, leaf texture, height, and color. And that's often how I create these native perennial beds. So as you can see, we've dotted in this repetition of the Hoopla Orchid Vivid and the Tiara Blue. These annuals, again, are here really just to help me maintain weeds until some of the more native or perennial plants take over. Now, one thing I did as well this year is I grew what's called Love in a Mist, or some people know it as Nigeria. And while their show is almost over, they have this beautiful wispy texture to them and these beautiful flowers, and they come in a variety of colors: blues, pinks, whites. And as you can see here, he's developing this gorgeous seed head. And this seed head is going to produce hundreds of seeds. And so they will self-seed. While they are an annual here in Wisconsin, it will self-seed. And I just love that wispy texture. And I planted over 150 of them, more for next year. The show was short-lived here, but I appreciate it, and can't wait to see them self-seed themselves next year. Again, we see some more alliums in the back. I did get some more. I just love to be able to create that natural barrier. So you'll notice that my plantings do have some structure, but I'm really trying to incorporate both native landscape, structure, perennial shrubs that help take some of that work off of your back, and then filling in with annuals to add in that color and fill in those spaces. Somebody wants a little love. Everybody say hi to Mr. Rusty Joseph. All right. So as we come back into the garden, we'll talk about a few more plants and wrap up our tour today. So here I have some dahlias that I grew from tubers. I started them in the greenhouse and then transplanted them out. And so here I'm going to have this big, beautiful, showy flower, which will be great later in the season. I do have a Chocolata geranium here that's coming back year after year. This is the second year that I've had him, so really excited that he made it through the winter. I then have dotted in a few more plants. I've got some Gomphrena that I grew from seed that I've dotted in, and notice my color scheme here. I'm keeping it in the purples, the fuchsias, the pinks, and so that is why I call this my jewel tone garden. And as we pop over here, I actually have 3 oak leaf hydrangeas, and they're coming back here, season 2. Remember, sleep, creep, and leap for those perennials. The first year they sleep, the second year they creep, and the third year they leap. Now they prefer probably a little bit more shade than they're getting, but I do have some trees here that are getting mature, so I think we'll all figure it out in good time. But these oak leaf hydrangeas can be anywhere from 3 to 5 feet wide and 3 to 5 feet tall. They have a beautiful formation of flower, and in the fall, the foliage turns bright red. So I love that color interest and that color change. In between, I also have some red dragon fountain grass to contrast the green and red during the summer seasons. And then I've dotted in, I'm just a huge fan of Verbena. So I've got a couple of Verbena, again, more of the Tierra Blue, more of the Vivid Hoopla Orchid, and some of my Gomphrena. And then I've also added in Superbena, and I don't have the name off the top of my head, but we'll be visiting this garden a few times this year, so I'll get it to you when I get it to you. Now here's a really good example of self-seeding. So these are bachelor buttons. And I did very similar to what I did this year with the Love and Mist. I did last year with the bachelor buttons. And they've now self-seeded themselves. They're super strong with the wind, and they add this beautiful wispy kind of cottagey feel as the oak leaf hydrangeas put on some strength and some size. Now if we take a step back, I've got a beautiful cherry tree here. So this is one of the trees that will provide some of that dappled shade for the oak leaf hydrangea. So super excited to see him grow. This is his second year. And then I have over here a mock orange. I've got some native daisies that apparently love their spot. And I have two coralberry bushes. So in the fall, these bushes produce these beautiful pink berries for the birds. Again, just adding structure, protection, microclimate, and habitat. And then of course we can't forget this weeping blue spruce that I'm absolutely in love with. Second year here, and he's put on some beautiful growth, and I absolutely adore it. So this is the patio jewel garden. I'm really excited to see how this is going to change over the next couple of weeks. It's really a beautiful sanctuary with, you know, the background. It's just a place to sit and have coffee and really just enjoy life. Well, thank you guys again for coming on a tour, and we'll talk soon. Happy gardening.